Hello everybody, another Contested Territories video. This is last week's track, Monkey Tail, and I was a little slow, so I'm just uploading it now. I've actually included a couple different parts into this video. Right now I'm running around 110. At this point I was using fast forward for most of the round because I felt safe doing so. Starting at 4 minutes 30 seconds, I have around 115, which I played without fast forward, so I sped that one up about 3 times, so it would be around the same amount of time as this round. At 9-minute mark, I have a little quick clip from when I lost on round 121 on purpose, just so you can see the speed and health of the DDTs and everything. And at 9 minutes and 20 seconds, I have a little clip guide how to, on how to regen farm, which is how I had gotten enough money to buy all of this, since on this map farms are banned. So I guess I'll jump into some explanation for this round. On this map, I was trying a new strategy of using 3 snipers, upgraded on the 2 on the left path and 3 on the right path, set to strong and first to deal with the DDTs, rather than using the Cripple Moab upgrade, which is the left path tier 4. And because of that, the blimps were able to get a little bit farther, the ZOMGs there. And if you can see or saw at the beginning, I actually have most of my call to arm villages centered around the center of the map, where they cover most of the Moab assassins and the Moab shredder spike factories. And then on the side I have a couple of villages which are used to boost the range of the temples there. And later on I do upgrade those all up to call to arms so that I can double the attack power of those temples, but for now I don't. So at this point I was chaining both call to arms and sabotage supply lines. I also generally use 3 spike storms ability for every time I use the call to arms, and that worked out so that I would never run out. I would always have 3 spike storms recharge by the time my next call to arms was ready. I used the Moab Assassins ability on the DDTs at the start of the round, and then just to deal general damage to the ZOMGs later in the round, and then used the Pop and Awe ability to stun any Moabs and BFBs that were getting far on the map. Now, one thing I did on this map, which probably wasn't the best idea, is I set all of the Moab assassins to strong. So every once in a while, when I get a DDT that sneaks through everything, they'll turn around and fire where there is nothing to hit. So it probably would have been a better idea to set those to last, so that I could properly deal with always hitting a ZOMG as they're entering. So I wasn't watching very carefully, but I'm not sure. I might have used 1 or 2 Pop and Awe abilities, but I generally didn't need that many at this point in the game. And coming up on the end of the round soon. So on round 115, as I said, I did speed it up 3 times because I played it in without fast forward, just so I could properly chain all of the abilities. So you can see I added in all of my ninjas, my dart monkeys, and upgraded the other villages all to call to arms. Now I had set up a I had all the call to arms set up in a circle so that I would always be chaining the ones in the middle, and every once in a while I would also have a call to arms on the sides that I could use. And And you can see at this point I also am using the pop and awe to stun all the blimps. When I got up to round, well, past this round, since this round was taking a while, after this I started playing in fast forward again, and pretty much just spammed abilities as they were needed, which included some buying and reselling of the mortar towers, so I had enough pop and awes just to speed up rounds, so they weren't as pretty as this round in terms of proper ability chaining. So you can see the blimps are definitely getting much farther down the path this time than they were before. If anyone saw any other videos or setups, you might notice my temple placement seems a bit odd for the map, but I found that placing them on the outside would allow them to fire back in and get more hits in for each plasma, rather than kind of putting them on the right side and letting them be set to first, where they would fire across the blimp's path. This way they're firing along the blimp's path and they can hit multiple blimps at once. So I had set two of the temples, the bottom left one and the one just above it, to last, so that they would fire down the incoming stream of blimps rather than trying and chasing the first blimp that comes. Oh, it looks like I set the one above it to last as well. And I think there were some times where I actually switched that targeting over to first, just so I could have a little extra power for cleanup. So you can see right now the two, whoop, it just ran out, but the two temples on the left, bottom left and one above it had just had call to arms, and every once in a while it looks like the snipers just had it as well. And I think the temple at the top, if I remember the order correct, is about to have call to arms, but you know, this was last week, so I may be wrong. But anyways, oh, looks like the ones in the bottom have it now. So I found this setup to be fairly strong. There probably were a couple of tweaks I could have done to make it a little better. Most of my temples, they had one mortar sacrifice each, so that's only 10k buy value of, you know, bombs and mortars. Instead of doing more, I found saving more of my bomb towers and mortars for abilities later on was going to be more helpful than giving the temples an extra 20k sacrifice. And I think for most of them I gave them all 30,000 of other glue, and a couple for apprentice and a couple for anything else. So this is round 121 right now. This is without fast forward and without lag. They just zip right through. You have to be using Sabotage Supply Line, you have to be using Moab Assassin or some Spike Storms before the round starts. So that's that, and now we'll just jump right into how I set up my regen farm. This is what I had at round 23, and on round 24 there were regen ceramics, which I was using to farm. So the core of your defense is going to be the 3-2 ice tower underneath a 2-3 village, and a 3-0 apprentice to set up the regen farm. You also want your sniper monkey as 0 upgrades on the left path and 4 on the right path, so you have the supply drop ability. Now, I had been using the ninjas and the Moab Mauler to take out the early blimps and general balloons, and I had forgotten if there were any blimps on round 24, so I left them in before selling them. And once I remembered that there are no blimps, I saw that there were no blimps, and I saw that the regens were coming. I sold them off so that I wouldn't pop too many of the regen balloons. And then you're pretty much set up with your regen farm, and you can go for another, well, as many more snipers as you have. You'll notice I'm getting a few dollars right now, which are from, the last balloons that pop, but now I've popped everything that there is to pop, and there's no more money left to gain from the balloons. So now the only income is from supply drop snipers. So if you do go with this build initially, you will start to notice some lag on my game, because that ice tower is getting 5,000 pops at a time, or, well, maybe it's only 1,000 or 2,000 at a time, but it's still enough to see a significant amount, or at least a noticeable amount of lag every time. So you'll see he's already gotten up to 50,000 pops, but my money hasn't gone up, except from the supply drops. So you can either try and go for a second supply drop sniper immediately, or you can try the second method, which I show here, which is going for something to help clean up all those balloons from the ice tower, which will speed up your frames per second. And the tower I use is the big one, the left path tier 4 upgrade for the mortar. You could also use a couple of Ring of Fires, which is the left path tier 4 upgrade for tack shooter. But I prefer the mortar so that I can reposition it if I'm running low on balloons. But you can definitely notice this is playing at, the regular speed I filmed at, and, these hiccups that I was having were noticeable for myself as well. So I decided, let's just speed up the frame rate, since it's going to take me a couple more abilities until I get another supply drop, and then a couple more until I can afford the mortar. So I said, screw that extra guy, make sure you place your mortar underneath the village so you get that discount. And now once you let that mortar clean up a little bit, you'll notice your frame rate is going to, pretty much skyrocket. So, and now, no hiccups or anything. You'll notice your abilities are recharging faster because the game is running faster. And you only need one 3-0 apprentice. You don't need to send back any more than that, at least when you're using ceramics. If you're using regen rainbows, you might need more. But you just kind of have to play it by feel. If you build too many, you may pop all the balloons, so you just want to be careful with that. Now with this setup, I was able to build all 21 of my snipers up to 0-4, all set on first, and then just farm up, the $1 million you need for all of your upgrades. And when you're done with the farm, you can sell off your apprentice and let it clean up. So thanks for watching.